Hello, my name is Ernesto Lujan, and I'm going to be showing you flexibility assessments. Begin with a 5 to 10 minute aerobic warm-up. This includes jogging, walking, or cycling. The first test that I'm going to demonstrate is known as the Thomas test, which assesses the hip flexor flexibility. In order to conduct this assessment, you're going to lie supine. Then bring one leg in the direction of the chest to the point where the lumbar spine is snug to the floor. If the test leg remains in contact with the floor during the maneuver, then the hip flexor of that leg is flexible. If the test leg rises, the hip flexor are likely to be inflexible. The same procedure will be conducted on the other leg. Record whether the hip flexor on the right and left leg are flexible or inflexible. Make sure this test is done twice. The second test I'm going to demonstrate is known as the Canadian Trunk Forward Flexion Test. This assesses the hamstrings and lower back flexibility. For this assessment, first remove your shoes and sit with your feet flat against the box. Place your hands on top of one another as demonstrated. Exhale while reaching forward and make sure that your knees are not bent. Then hold for 2 seconds. This test is scored with the measurement of centimeters. This will be repeated twice and only the best of the two will be recorded. Once completed, you'll be able to categorize the individual according to table 5.2 shown at the end of the video. The third test I'm going to demonstrate is known as the chair, sit, and reach test, which assesses the hamstring flexibility. In order to conduct this assessment, the equipment needed is a folding chair that has a seat height of 17 inches, which is 43 centimeters, and that will not tip forward, as well as an 18-inch ruler, which is 46 centimeters or half yardstick. Place the folding chair against a wall for stability and sit at the edge of the seat. Extend the leg that is going to be tested in the front of the hip, while the heel on the floor and the ankle dorsiflex approximately 90 degrees. Flex the untested leg so that the sole of the foot is flat on the floor about 6 to 12 inches. With the straight leg and hands on top of each other as demonstrated, exhale and bend forward with the spine straight as possible. Remember to bend forward at the hip joint. Reach and hold for 2 seconds while assistant places a ruler parallel to your leg. This will be conducted with 2 practice trials, then followed by 2 test trials. Space between the big toe and fingertips will be a negative score. If fingers go past the big toe, it will be counted as a positive score. Touching the toes is scored as 0. The final test I'm going to demonstrate is known as a YMCA sit and reach test, which assesses the hamstring and lower back flexibility. The equipment needed in order to conduct this assessment is a floor mat, a yardstick, and tape. For this assessment, first remove your shoes, then place the yardstick on the floor. Place a strip of tape on the 15-inch mark. Sit down with your legs extended and place your heels at the edge of the tape as demonstrated. Your leg must contain contact with the floor at all times. Be sure that your feet are at least 10 to 12 inches apart from each other. When ready, place your hands on top of one another and exhale as you bend forward, keeping your knees straight. Reach as far as possible and hold that position for 2 seconds. Repeat this assessment at least twice and record the best of the 2 scores. This is the table that will be used in order to categorize an individual for the Canadian Trunk Forward Flexion Test. As you can see, the table is separated by age range and by sex. The values listed are in centimeters, which was obtained from the sit and reach box. This is the table that will be utilized in order to categorize an individual for the YMCA sit and reach test. Based on the subject's age, sex, and the recorded value in inches from the assessment, you will be able to determine if their flexibility is within the 10 to 90th percentile. Based on my scores and classification, I am a 24-year-old male. For the Thomas test, my right leg was flexible and my left leg was flexible. For the Canadian Trunk Forward Flexion Test, I reached 15 centimeters, which is considered fair in the table. For the YMCA sit and reach test, I reached 15 inches, which according to the table is below average. These are the references that I use. Thank you for watching.